don't just be out there all willy-nilly. You're going to realize later that you spend a lot of time, effort, and money, like diversifying, like, oh, I got 10,000 points over here. I got 10,000 points over here. And now you need 20,000 points for this one trip. And like, you only have 10 because you diversified without planning, without thinking ahead.
But first, before we actually get into all those details, I just want to let you guys know that this is actually a highlight from a podcast I did with Call Me Lani just a couple of weeks ago. And he goes into exactly why he thinks points diversification is kind of a waste of time, at least for him. And just exactly why you should be laser focused on one currency, one brand, and you can cover all of your travel experiences with that one currency. Which is kind of the contrary to what a lot of people say. Like, I want Amex points, Hilton points, a million different points. Lani says no, one point to rule them all. All right, let's get into it.
I was on different airplanes, different airlines, different brands all the time. And of course, when you do that, even if you fly for work, you get to keep the miles, like the frequent flyer miles or whatnot. It wasn't until I got to a point where I took a personal trip. So I got out of, I stopped working for the person I was working for in the music industry, and I went independent with my own separate, my very first company, but a very separate company in the music industry. But that still required me to like fly to like New York and LA like all the time. And I had a moment where I realized, like, and I still remember, and it was on an American flight, believe it or not. I know chat's probably gonna be like, wait, he flew American? But yeah, it was on an American flight where I flew across the country for $10 because I had so many miles saved up. Where it's like, oh, I need to book this trip to LA, and I booked this trip, and I'm like, sure, let's use my miles. And at the end, it was like, pay $5 in taxes one way and $5 in taxes the other. And I'm like, I just flew across the country for $10. Wait a second, what just happened? And how can I make this happen more often? And that got me into the credit card aspect of, if I get more miles, I can do this more often. Now, I grew up in the Midwest, so I am an Illinois born and bred person, and in Chicago, that's where United's headquarters is. And so I was always in or around a United hub. And at the same time, like, so I have ORD, Denver, where Chad's at right now, EWR, which is Newark, that can get you to New York, LAX, which is another hub, and for another hub for United. So I was just realizing, well, even at not necessarily Atlanta, I know that's not a United hub, but United does fly there. But everywhere I needed to go for my first business, United could get me there. And at the same time, also got me back home. So it's like, wherever I'm at, United will literally get me 30 minutes away from my parents' house if I need to, or back to Chicago if I need to. And so that's why I just like, you know what, instead of flying all these different airlines and getting 20,000 miles for flying over here and 10,000 for flying on Delta or whatever, like, why don't I just all focus and funnel all that in to one airline that I could use for business or for personal? And so it ended up being United, because it's like, I don't need diversification. I just need to get from point A to point B. And so that's why, and I think in one of my older videos, I actually mentioned my United Mileage Plus Explorer card is the very first travel card that I got. And that's the reason why, is because I decided I'm going to fully focus on United. So now every dollar I spend gets me miles. Every time I fly, I get miles. Everything I did got me United miles. And that's why still to this day, I can't get rid of United miles. I still have that mentality, and everything kind of folds and focuses into it. And I know we've had other conversations. People left me comments like, why do you use the Chase Travel Portal? And it's because, well, I can use my points, which technically is a discount, and when I buy my United flight, and then I still get miles again from United when I actually take the flight. So it's like, if this cost me 50,000 points, or it would have cost me 75,000 points, being hypothetical here, I could use 50,000 Chase points, and then I'll get 30,000 United miles when I actually take the flight. So I'm just like, so did I really spend 50,000 points? Because I can use those miles again later. And I know you're also going to ask me about the hotel thing. Why I don't have hotel cards is because I use my United miles to book my hotels as well for $0. So it's like, United miles are very, very, very beneficial to me. They have a good amount of weight when it comes to currency and value. And so, yeah, I'm going to keep using United. I'm going to keep flying United because I can, even though they're not very flexible, they're very flexible with United on how I can use them.
You knew exactly where I was wanting to head with that, because you think in past videos you mentioned like there's no need for me to have a hotel card. I can use my miles to pay for the hotel. And I was like,
yep.
What does he mean by that? What do you mean by that? So how are you paying for hotels with your United miles? I need to know.
Yeah. Yeah, if you go, well, it's no secret. Just go to United's website, literally. And
Really?
right at the top, instead of booking a flight, you can just tab over, or there's a separate link next to it that says for hotels. There's also one for rental cars as well, but just click on hotels. And I think it's through Expedia. Like that's the backbone that they use for it, but whatever. But you click on that and same thing, type in where you want to go, what city you're staying at, how many nights, et cetera, et cetera. And this is a global thing, so it works everywhere. And just start scrolling through your hotels. And one of the reasons why I really enjoy that is because it's not locked to a specific hotel brand. So you'll see Hyatt, you'll see Marriott, you'll see Intercontinental, you see Holiday Inn, you'll see, you might even see a Days Inn or a Best Western, whatever. It's all in there. And then depending on, of course, the level of luxury that you want, or how many nights you're going to stay. Do you want like the 2-bedroom suite at like the Homewood Suites, or do you want like a studio suite over here at Intercontinental? Whatever. You get to choose it just like you're booking any other hotel, and it tells you how many miles it would take. So once you book, you can actually pay for the entire hotel stay, and they'll fold the taxes into miles as well. So that's why when I say $0, I'm literally meaning $0.
So that gets me wondering, because you mentioned earlier, like, I don't need to diversify. I just need to focus on one thing, just one program, and that can cover everything. So there is a mindset out there of points diversification. Like, I should have, Hilton points. I should have some Delta Sky miles, United miles. I should have American Express, membership award points. But you're not really about that necessarily. I know you have other cards too, but at least how it started, you're like, let's just funnel all of my. And of course, this can work for you because you said you have to fly United to these different hubs, right? But could you have done this with any other like program, you think?
Absolutely. You can do this with at least I'll say the big three for the US, the American, the Delta, United. You can do exactly what I said to any of those three, and it'll work the exact same way. You just have to have their specific miles to do it. And like I say, for me, because it's so easy for me to get United miles, whether it's using my card, which I barely ever do, transferring from Chase or Bilt or something like that, using United shopping portal, anything like of that nature, so easy. And of course, flying United at the same time, it's so easy for me to get those miles that why would I try to go anywhere else? Why would I spend any effort, money, time funneling miles to Delta if I like? Now I feel like with Delta, I would need 25,000 miles for a round trip ticket domestically. Why would I go out of my way to try to get 25,000 miles of Delta when I could, of course, just add that to the amount of miles that I already have with United? So for me, it was like, there's no point for me to look outward on it. And as I got, I don't want to say older, but more mature into the game. And when I say that, it's like my now wife, obviously at one point we were dating. And one of the things that I did was one of our very first dates, probably like our third date, I took her on a trip. Of course, I didn't pay for it, but I'm like, yeah, locked her in though, right?
Right.
Yeah, it locked her in really early.
Get on that United flight, right?
Yeah. And it was that particular, like, wait a sec, how were you able to do that? That's so easy for you. That really intrigued her to also be like, yeah, you're absolutely right. Why am I flying all these other airlines? And so she ended up going out and getting, using my referral, of course, getting a United Explorer card. So now we still to this day, we both have them. They're both active, using all the perks and everything like that. But we ended up getting so many miles at one point, like one of our biggest trips that we took before becoming parents and pre-pandemic, whatever you want to call it, was to Asia. So we went from the US to Taiwan to across Indonesia. So we did parts of Indonesia and Bali. And literally, I did this trip with my best friend from grad school. So he and I, we always took at least one trip a year together. But now we're both in relationships, but he actually came with us on that trip. He proposed to his now wife on that trip as well. So that was like, we need to figure out like how to get these women on here, because we're losing our trips every year now. And so we actually did that. But the kicker of it is that he paid cash for it. And on the trip, we were like, wait a sec, how'd you get that suite? How'd you get that room? And like, how'd you get business class for your 3 flights and all this other stuff? And you didn't pay for it. And that was like the first time where I realized like, yo, I think I have something here. Like that was the first time I realized like what I knew and how I did it. Most people didn't know like that level of information. And so after that, I just started leaning into it even more. But yeah, I've traveled to Taiwan and Indonesia and Bali and back with another adult, $0.
That is wild. That is wild. And the fact that you're doing it all with just the same currency, you're not doing
Yeah.
all the crazy things, transferring here and there, just,
Yep.
it's just one currency, and yeah, lack thereof diversification leads to some
Yeah.
great experiences. That's really cool.
Yeah, and it's the
This,
same thing if you use
Mhm.
the Chase Ultimate Rewards portal. Yes, like as many know, I have the Chase Sapphire Reserve, and you get the 1.5. But at the same time, Chase will fold in the taxes, so you just pay your taxes with the points. So even the flight, so I'll buy my flights with my Chase points, and I'll buy my hotels with my United miles. But either way, the taxes are both folded into the miles or into the points. So that's
Yeah.
why I literally say $0
$0.
because it costs me nothing out of pocket. Costs me
Right.
extra nothing out of pocket.
Right. That's why you say I don't like paying money for for vacations. That's
Yep.
great. But I guess to be contrarian, in my in my mind, it's like, well, I couldn't necessarily do what you're describing here, because I there's no other way. If I just get the United card, I'm going to get the bonus, whatever the miles actually are, and then I'm going to run out of a certain amount of miles from that program, and then what do I do? So the only reason
Yep.
I've necessarily diversified is because, well, I had no other ways to earn the points, and I don't spend that much to begin with.
Yeah.
So I kind of, exhaust everything. So like the Hilton cards, like me and my wife got 4 of them just between us two. We've pretty much exhausted them all. So I'm like, I have no other way to earn Hilton other than to spend on it. I'm not doing that. So that's why I'm moving on to Ink cards, so I can transfer to Hyatt, and now I can just expend all my Hyatt points. And then there will be a day
Yeah.
where I don't have any more Hyatt points unless I just keep creating businesses and get more Chase cards. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I just, like, for me, I don't think it's possible to pick my program and to work with it, because I can't earn the points any other way other than just accumulating more and more cards.
Yeah, and I totally get that. And I also am not numb to the fact of my setup works great for me,
Yeah.
but not everybody is me. Like you and I live in completely 2 separate states and completely different parts of the country. Like I get what I built for me that works perfectly, doesn't work for everyone else. And you're absolutely right. But I would still say respond to you in 2 ways. And the first way is if you are in a position that would allow you to try different things out, different hotels, different airlines, go ahead and do it, because you're going to have a good experience. You're going to have a bad experience. You're going to fly on one airline. You're going to be like, I'll never fly this airline again. I've flown Spirit once. I can't believe I'm actually saying that, but I admit it. I have flown on Spirit Airlines. And I was like, I sacrificed $1 for the quality, and I will never fly Spirit again. So when people joke about Spirit, like, yeah, their planes look like giant caution tape, and it should, like straight up. Like one of the worst flight experience I ever had was on Spirit Airlines. But the thing is, how would I know that Polaris business class is that great if I didn't have experiences that was that bad, like literally to see the other side of the spectrum? So if you're in that position to be able to experience different airlines, different product, 100% go into it. Now, the second thing is there are additional ways that you could, of course, earn those miles through your everyday spend and still use your cards at the same time. Like I've mentioned, I'm a big fan of shopping portals, but I only use 2. I either use Chase's shopping portal, I use United's shopping portal, because I'm very focused on making sure my miles and points all move in the same direction. But and to like one of the recommendations I would give you on that second part of your question there is like go to a website like Rocket Miles, where you can book hotels and then choose the award program that you want to receive. Instead of like, if I stay at IHG, I'm not going to get IHG points. Like you can go in there and say, when I stay at this hotel, I want United miles, or I want Delta miles, or I think they even did Amazon. I think they even have Amazon gift cards in there. A friend of mine actually introduced it to me, and I took maybe like 3 or 4 trips and I booked through it just to get Amazon gift cards, and I ended up buying a Nintendo Switch because I was like, hey, I want to be able to play Mario Kart on the airplane. And so I got my Nintendo Switch for free for spending the exact same money I would have spent anyway with the hotel. Wow. So there's multiple ways you can do it. And like I said, even if you don't use United Shopping Portal, book your hotel. And I know I'm being hypocritical because earlier I said don't use third-party shopping portals. But this one's actually good if you don't really care about getting like the hotel points. Get something else out of it instead, or get the airline points that you want out of it instead. Like I said, I could turn it to United Miles instead of Amazon gift cards. So that works as well. And that way you're still spending money. Your everyday spend, you're using your card. It still counts as travel if you're using the travel card, of course. And then on top of that, you're able to focus your miles towards a specific purpose. So you might not be focusing towards hotel. In this case, you might be focusing towards a specific airline. Hold on, my dog trying to get in my office.
Oh no.